I never meant to fall in love with him. I was just supposed to tell him my sister couldn't make it. Emma's voice trembled as she looked directly into the camera. But sometimes life gives you exactly what you need when you least expect it. She smiled through tears, her hand intertwined with the tall, distinguished man beside her. If you want to know how a reluctant blind date changed both our lives forever, keep watching. And if our story touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to follow our journey. Emma Matthews tugged nervously at the hem of her borrowed dress, feeling like an imposter in her sister Vanessa's designer clothes. The restaurant was far too fancy for her taste, all crystal chandeliers and white tablecloths. She was only supposed to deliver a message, not stay for dinner. Just tell him I got sick, Vanessa had insisted earlier that afternoon, not even looking up from her phone. Tell him I'm sorry and leave. It's not that complicated. But it had become complicated the moment Emma laid eyes on Ethan Parker. She'd expected some arrogant businessman, the type her sister usually dated. Instead, she found herself facing a man with kind eyes and a warm smile that made her forget the rehearsed excuse. You must be Vanessa, he said, standing as she approached the table. Emma opened her mouth to correct him, to explain that she was just the messenger, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the genuine warmth in his expression, so different from the calculating looks men usually gave her sister. Or maybe it was simple curiosity about the kind of man who would make dinner reservations at the most exclusive restaurant in the city for a blind date. I'm actually Emma, she said, deciding on a half-truth. Vanessa's sister. His smile faltered slightly. Oh. Is Vanessa coming? She's not feeling well. The lie felt bitter on her tongue. In reality, Vanessa had received a better offer from a visiting European soccer player and hadn't thought twice about standing up her blind date. I see. Disappointment flickered across his face. Well, thank you for coming to tell me in person. That was thoughtful. Emma nodded, preparing to leave, when he surprised her. Since you're already here, would you like to stay? It seems a shame to waste the reservation. His smile returned, genuine and disarming. Unless you have other plans? She should have said no. Should have explained that this wasn't her world, that she was a kindergarten teacher who lived in a tiny apartment with second-hand furniture, not the sophisticated socialite he was expecting. But something in his eyes made her hesitate. I don't want to impose, she said softly. You wouldn't be. I'd appreciate the company. He gestured to the chair across from him. Please. Against her better judgment, Emma sat down. I should probably tell you, Ethan said as the waiter poured water into her glass, that I wasn't particularly looking forward to this blind date anyway. My sister set it up. She thinks I need to get back out there. Emma relaxed slightly. My sister volunteered me as her replacement without asking. Siblings, right? His laugh was warm and genuine. Exactly. So maybe we can just enjoy dinner as two people escaping well-meaning but meddling sisters? By the time their appetizers arrived, Emma had learned that Ethan was the CEO of a tech company that developed educational software. He spoke passionately about making learning accessible to all children, and Emma found herself sharing stories from her kindergarten classroom. The look on their faces when they finally understand something, that moment when it clicks, there's nothing like it, she said, forgetting to be self-conscious. Ethan was watching her with an intensity that made her cheeks warm. You really love what you do. I do. The pay is terrible, but the rewards are priceless. She took a sip of water. What about you? Do you enjoy being a CEO? A shadow crossed his face. It has its moments. But lately, the job has taken a backseat to more important responsibilities. Before she could ask what he meant, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression softened. Sorry, I need to take this. It's my daughter's babysitter. Emma watched as he stepped away from the table, speaking in low, concerned tones. When he returned, his brow was furrowed with worry. "Everything okay?" she asked. He sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. "My daughter Lily has a fever. The sitter says it's not high, but—" "You should go," Emma said immediately. "Children come first." Something in his expression shifted as he looked at her. Would you mind coming with me? I know it's a strange request, but Lily's been having nightmares lately, and having a woman's presence sometimes helps. You're a kindergarten teacher, you probably know how to handle sick kids better than I do." It was impulsive and probably inappropriate, but Emma found herself nodding. "Of course I'll come." The ride to Ethan's home was quiet, filled with his occasional phone calls to check on Lily. Emma learned that he had been a single father for the past 2 years, since his wife died in a car accident. The pain in his voice when he mentioned her was still raw. Ethan's house was large but surprisingly homey, with children's artwork framed on the walls and toys neatly organized in colorful bins. The babysitter, a college student named Mia, looked relieved when they arrived. "She's been asking for you," Mia told Ethan. "Her temperature is 100.2. Emma followed Ethan upstairs to a bedroom decorated in shades of purple and teal. A small figure was huddled under the covers, only a mass of dark curls visible. "Daddy?" A small, pitiful voice emerged from the blankets. "I'm here, sweetheart." Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, gently stroking his daughter's hair. "How are you feeling?" "My throat hurts." The little girl's eyes, identical to her father's, shifted to Emma. "Who's that?" "This is Miss Emma," Ethan said. "She's a kindergarten teacher, and she came to help make you feel better." Emma stepped forward with a gentle smile. "Hi, Lily. I'm sorry you're not feeling well." To her surprise, the little girl reached for her hand. "Are you Daddy's friend?" Emma glanced at Ethan, unsure how to answer. He nodded slightly. "Yes, I am," she said, sitting on the other side of the bed. "And I know lots of tricks to help sore throats feel better. Would you like me to show you?" For the next hour, Emma helped Ethan care for Lily, making honey lemon tea, reading stories, and singing soft lullabies until the little girl finally drifted off to sleep. When they tiptoed out of the room, Ethan's expression was a mixture of gratitude and something deeper. "Thank you," he said simply. "You didn't have to do any of this. I was happy to help." Emma glanced at her watch, surprised by how late it had gotten. "I should probably call a cab." "Let me drive you home," Ethan insisted. "It's the least I can do." During the drive to her apartment, a comfortable silence settled between them. Emma found herself wishing the night didn't have to end, which was ridiculous. Men like Ethan Parker didn't date women like her. He had been set up with Vanessa for a reason, beautiful, sophisticated Vanessa who moved in the same social circles as CEOs and celebrities. When they reached her building, so different from his elegant home, Emma turned to thank him for the evening. "I'd like to see you again," Ethan said before she could speak. "Properly this time. Not as your sister's stand-in." Emma blinked in surprise. "Why?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. "Why wouldn't I? You're kind, intelligent, and genuine. Do you know how rare that is? And the way you were with Lily." He shook his head, as if words failed him. "I haven't seen her warm up to anyone like that since her mother died." "Ethan, I'm not." Emma hesitated. "I'm not like my sister. I don't belong in fancy restaurants or charity galas. I'm just a kindergarten teacher who can barely afford her rent." His expression softened. "Did you think I cared about any of that?" "Emma, tonight was the first time I've enjoyed a dinner out since Sarah died. Not because of the restaurant, but because of you." Before she could respond, he reached into his pocket and handed her a business card. "Think about it. Call me if you want to give this a chance." Emma didn't call. For 3 days, she stared at his card, picked up her phone, and put it down again. What could possibly come of it? They lived in different worlds. And yet, she couldn't forget the way he'd looked at her, or how natural it had felt to help care for Lily. On the fourth day, she arrived at her classroom to find it filled with sunflowers, her favorite, though she couldn't remember mentioning that to Ethan. They arrived this morning, the school secretary said with a knowing smile. There's a card. The note was simple, some beauty for the woman who brings beauty into children's lives every day. Lily asks about you constantly. We both miss you. Ethan. That afternoon, she called him. Their first official date was nothing like she expected. Instead of another fancy restaurant, Ethan took her to a community garden where Lily was participating in a children's planting workshop. The three of them dug in the dirt together, planted sunflower seeds, and ate sandwiches on a checkered blanket. Is this okay? Ethan asked quietly while Lily chatted with another child nearby. I know it's not very romantic, bringing my daughter along. Emma smiled, feeling more comfortable than she had in years. It's perfect. She's part of your life, Ethan. An important part. Something in his expression shifted, a vulnerability she hadn't seen before. Most women I've dated since Sarah died, they try to tolerate Lily. They say the right things, but I can tell they're just waiting for our time alone. Then you've been dating the wrong women, Emma said simply. Their relationship progressed slowly, deliberately. Ethan was careful not to rush things, mindful of both Lily's feelings and Emma's hesitations about their different lifestyles. But with each passing week, those differences seemed less important. Emma discovered that despite his wealth and position, Ethan valued simplicity. He preferred game nights at home to black tie events, and his favorite moments were the quiet ones, reading bedtime stories with Lily sandwiched between them, or sharing coffee on his porch while watching the sunrise. There were challenges, of course. Vanessa was furious when she discovered Emma was dating the man who had been set up with her, accusing her sister of stealing her opportunity. Some of Ethan's business associates raised eyebrows at his relationship with a kindergarten teacher. And Lily, though generally accepting of Emma, sometimes had moments of jealousy or sadness, missing the mother she barely remembered. The most difficult moment came 3 months into their relationship, when Emma attended a charity gala as Ethan's date. She felt out of place among the designer gowns and diamond jewelry, especially when she overheard two women whispering. She's the sister of the woman he was supposed to meet. Can you imagine? Showing up in her sister's place and somehow landing one of the most eligible bachelors in the city. Talk about a calculated move. Emma fled to the bathroom, tears threatening to spill. That's when she ran into Catherine, Ethan's sister and the one who had originally arranged the blind date with Vanessa. Are you all right? Catherine asked, her expression concerned. I don't belong here, Emma admitted. Everyone knows it. Catherine's laugh was unexpected. Oh, honey. Do you think any of us really belong here? These events are tedious obligations. She studied Emma thoughtfully. You know, I set my brother up with your sister because I thought he needed someone who could navigate this world. I was wrong. He needed someone who could remind him there's more to life than this world. She squeezed Emma's hand. I've never seen him happier. Or Lily. Whatever you're doing, please don't stop because of a few jealous gossips. When Emma returned to the ballroom, Ethan was waiting, concern evident in his eyes. There you are. I was worried. He studied her face. What's wrong? Nothing, she started to say, then changed her mind. Their relationship had been built on honesty from the beginning. I overheard some comments. About how I manipulated my way into your life by showing up instead of Vanessa. Anger flashed across his face, quickly replaced by tenderness. He led her to a quiet corner of the ballroom. Emma, do you know what I thought when you walked into that restaurant? Before you even spoke a word? She shook her head. I thought, thank God she doesn't look like her social media photos. He smiled at her confusion. I'd seen pictures of Vanessa online. She was exactly the type of woman I've been avoiding, beautiful but carefully curated, perfect but untouchable. And then you walked in, looking nervous and real and slightly uncomfortable in that borrowed dress, and I felt like I could breathe again. He took her hands in his. You didn't trick me into anything. If anything, fate tricked us both in the best possible way. 6 months after their first meeting, Ethan asked Emma to move in with them. Lily made the actual proposal, presenting Emma with a handmade card that read, "Will you be part of our family?" in wobbly letters, decorated with stick figures of the three of them holding hands. Their life together wasn't perfect. They had disagreements about everything from discipline approaches with Lily to whether Ethan worked too many hours. Emma sometimes still felt insecure about the economic disparity between them, while Ethan occasionally struggled with guilt about moving on after Sarah's death. But they faced each challenge together, with honesty and patience. And on the anniversary of their first meeting, Ethan took Emma back to the restaurant where it all began. "I have a confession," he said after they were seated at the same table. "I knew you weren't Vanessa that night." Emma stared at him in shock. "What? How?" "I'd seen pictures of both of you on social media. When you walked in, I recognized you immediately as Emma, not Vanessa." He smiled at her astonishment. "I was intrigued. I wanted to know why you were there instead of your sister, and why you weren't immediately telling me the truth." "So you played along," Emma said, understanding dawning. "I did. And it was the best decision I ever made." He reached across the table for her hand. "Which brings me to tonight." From his pocket, he produced a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, not the ostentatious diamond she might have expected, but a delicate band with a small sunflower crafted from yellow sapphires. "Emma Matthews, you walked into my life pretending to be someone else, but you showed me who you really are, the most authentic, loving, wonderful woman I've ever known. Will you marry me?" Tears blurred her vision as she nodded. "Yes. Yes, I will." Later that night, as they told an ecstatic Lily the news, Emma marveled at how differently her life had turned out from what she'd planned. All because she'd reluctantly agreed to deliver a message for her sister. "I never meant to fall in love with him," she would later tell their friends, recounting the story of how they met. "I was just supposed to tell him my sister couldn't make it. But sometimes, life gives you exactly what you need when you least expect it." "And that's our story," Emma said, looking back into the camera, her eyes shining with emotion. 5 years later, we're still building our life together, Ethan, Lily, our 2-year-old twins, and me. All because of a blind date mix-up that turned out to be the best mistake of our lives. Ethan wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "Sometimes the universe has better plans for us than we have for ourselves. We just have to be brave enough to say yes when opportunity knocks." If our story touched your heart, Emma continued, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We share our journey as a blended family, the challenges and joys of parenting, and how to build a relationship based on authenticity rather than appearances. Remember, Ethan added, love doesn't always arrive in the package you expect. Sometimes it comes in the form of a reluctant messenger who changes your life forever.